Groundland 2 bed, 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 Groundland 2 bed. Die naloper geeft het in subtu albirioa.
Hello? Hello? Give me just a second. Hi. Yeah. You, hold on a second. I have to adjust volume because VR just completely fucks up all the volume stuff. I'm going to thank you all so much so soon for all the subscriptions and stuff. Hi. Hi. Yeah, they can hear you, I think, but you're probably kind of being overshadowed by the music. They can see you. Yeah, I don't know why, but VR just completely fucks up all the volume. Wait, why is it? Oh, that's why. Oh, that explains it. For some reason, VLC Media Player wasn't on the low volume that it's supposed to start at, and it was just at 100% volume, which is not good.
The music was bumping.
I don't want it to be bumping, though.
Bump that shit down.
Come here. Let the audience talk about how your volume is now in relation to the music. Hi! Wow!
How's it going? I drew something. There.
Sorry, I got a description. What did you say?
I drew something!
I can't wait to go look at it soon. But let me just first see the volume. Hi! Not right now, because we have to know if the audio is good. So, voice sounds pretty fine.
Okay.
Well, I don't see anyone complaining, so I guess it's good now.
Yeah, if you guys think something is wrong, you gotta tell us.
You do. But thank you everyone for the subscriptions and stuff so far. Which is... Can I go look at that real quick?
I saw that someone had a hype train.
Yes. Ow, what? Oh, I'm adjusting the volume by accident. Hold on. We did have a hype train, and that's fucking awesome. Okay, hold on. If I do...
Yay.
Like this. And then I can see that Maniacal Toaster and Mecha VT and Jody got a gifts up. No, wait, gave a gifts up. And Kirakat and Voblink. And Jody again. Wow. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Big appreciation.
That's really cool.
That's so cool.
Huge appreciation.
big preach, dude. But hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm here with my friend Jules. Yay!
Here's my friend Zoe.
That's crazy.
I never gave you your hug.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said when we got in VR, I would give Zoe a big hug.
Yeah, I had a bad day, so yay!
We're gonna make
Thank
it
you.
all better.
Thank you.
And have so much fun.
Yeah!
Fun.
Yeah! Fun! You might notice we're in a different space than we usually are when I start a VRchat stream. That's because for some reason Jules wasn't able to join my world. We don't know why.
Really sad. I just kept loading into this hellscape. This very calming, nice hellscape.
Yeah. It sucks, you know. At one point, like, I'm walking by accident. That's okay. I have to change this. Hold on. There. Now it stays in the world. Is this how I usually do it? No, only sometimes. But yeah, we've got some plans to go visit some cool worlds. But first we've got a drawing to look at, as it turns out. Everybody's...
Yeah. You have fan art. Check the fan art.
Oh my gosh, I gotta make sure to get a picture of that. Oh my god! That's so cute! Yay! Yay! Good, take photo. Take photo.
Don't cry. Don't cry.
No, don't not cry. No, stop crying. Stop crying.
Is this okay?
I mean, there you go. That's a good one. Yeah, that
I
is
love to blink.
that is so cute. That's adorable. Thank you. Yay. That is so nice.
No problem. I was just drawing.
Oh yeah, you did need to kill the
Drawing in VR is
time.
hard.
That's true, but you did it. You fucking did it though. It's really nice.
We're gonna kill him.
Where do I go? What is happening? Chat, where did I go? Jules? What happened? Oh, when I do this, also it means I'm looking at you guys. Where the fuck is she? What happened? Jules? Jules? I can hear you on the computer, I think, or something. Jules? What happened? Where did I go?
I don't know, you just disappeared when I was hanging out.
Wait, does this teleport me? No.
Are you like inside of my pocket dimension?
I guess. Wait, there's a go back button here. Hold on. Oh, there I am. I'm back. Hi. I don't know. I interacted with. Oh, okay. I interacted with this thing right here that says art room.
What the heck?
I don't know why.
Oh, can I go there?
Sure.
The fuck? This place is like scary.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, this place is scary. I feel like I'm in a bunker, like an underground bunker.
Yeah, this doesn't feel right. However,
My page, perhaps a boy. A boy.
I think the point is like you can make like art scenes, like still lives and stuff, and then like draw them, you know?
Right. Is this a papaya or a coconut? I can't tell how big
Gimme.
it is. It looks
Gimme.
pretty big.
Oh, okay, I thought you would throw it at me with chiller.
Peach?
Peach?
Oh, can I throw? No, I can't throw
Oh,
things.
no, these stay. Okay, alright.
They just float.
Look at how much walking space I have, by the way. Like, I remembered recently that my dining table is collapsible into a smaller dining table. Hi. And so now I have so much space. Like, okay, hold on. So from here, hi. To here.
Whoa, she's walking. Oh, she's walking. Oh my
So much space.
god. Oh my god.
Wow.
I can't
Ooh.
even take like one step. I can't even take one step.
This is so fucking disorienting. I don't know if you guys can see on stream. But there's like a, what do you call these?
A step?
A step. There's like a step here, and it's so disorienting because I'm expecting it to be there, but it's not. And then like I fall down anyway. It's weird. It's weird.
Need to get this.
I tried to step up the step.
Fall on the ground, are you? Or are you gonna slip?
I tried to step up the step. But it wasn't there. Like, wasn't even on purpose. I just like, you know, like my mental state was just like, there's a step, let's step up. But no.
Do you ever
I'm
do that
okay.
when walking up like real stairs or down, and you think that there's another one and there's not, so you like trip
A little
happens
bit,
to me a
yes. Yeah, totally.
a lot. I'm like my biggest like mundane fears are getting in, like slipping in the shower and falling down the stairs, and driving, and knives and ovens.
You got
Fire and heat.
and tigers and and the building, I mean, collapsing and
and my ceiling fan falling off my ceiling
and decapitating you.
Yeah, I mean, that's scary.
And sleepwalking out the door and getting hit by a car and
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. I don't think I would, at least.
no, you would
I
like,
hope not.
well, you would first sleep, unlock the front door, and then sleepwalk out the door and get hit by a car.
I want to sleepwalk and make a big sandwich, and I wake up and there's crumbs in my bed. And I'm just like, whoa, where did all these crumbs come from? And there's like mustard on my chin.
No, that's awesome though.
Mustard on my chin.
No, but that's awesome, because then it's like, man,
Scooby-Doo shit.
I feel like I had a delicious sandwich in my sleep. That was nice, you know, I still got the aftertaste and stuff,
I had a
and now I
dream.
don't have to
ate a
eat
big sandwich.
a big sandwich, you know? And now you don't have to eat breakfast, because you already slept ate in your sleep, you know?
Well, I did that in my sleep. It's not real, but then somehow
No, you
there's
sleepwalked.
mustard on my chin.
Oh, right, of course. No, you just got, what's the word for that? When, like, you do something but you don't?
Fake, imaginary.
So what a tulpa is? When like,
Tulpa is like an imaginary friend, but scarier somehow.
so the sandwich is like a tulpa?
Yeah, my sandwich is my tulpa.
This is good. Yeah.
Take my peach.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
The lighting just makes it look like a black circle.
Yeah, here's my cool orb.
I love orbs.
It really is just an orb, huh?
Famously.
Oh no, wait, this part is a little bit flatter.
Tulpa is an autonomous, sapient entity that exists within someone's mind. Yeah, so it's like an imaginary friend, but like cooler.
Right? But what's it called when you don't do something, but you give yourself the sensation that you do, and then your body thinks you did?
Phantom something. That's the best I got. Because I know there's like phantom limb. But,
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Chat knows more than
Placebo!
me.
That's
Oh,
it!
yeah,
It's a placebo. Thank you. That's the one. Placebo. I'm gonna put the camera a little bit lower. I feel bad. Placebo.
You should feel bad. I'm very small.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
gonna
sorry.
hurt my neck looking up at you.
Yeah, sorry. I don't have I don't
do we
have
wanna try
Queen of
going
Fennec
somewhere?
yet. I suppose we
should
probably
I
should do
start?
that.
I
Yeah.
should try making the world, since before it was teleporting me back here every time. It was so annoying.
Yeah, I probably do that.
It was so annoying. I hope I can find No.
Do you not have his favorite sorted?
Oh, how silly. It's okay, I know how to find it.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Is it the one with the blue?
Yeah.
The test? Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna go to a beautiful world, Chad. An incredible world. A world that I think we already went to once during like a community VRchat stream. But it's been a while and there have been some new community members since then. Okay, so we're gonna go in there together and we're gonna...
If it doesn't work, I'll let you know. If I come back here, I'll let you know, and then I'll try restarting my VRchat, I guess.
You got it. Awesome.
Okay?
Yes,
Okay,
let's
well,
go.
Here we go.
Are we going? I'm doing it. Hello everyone, these are my controllers. Do you like them? This is the one, and this is the other. And when I'm using this one, I can use this other controller to look at you guys. But now I'm moving this one, because the screen is on this one. I'm so floating in space right now, that's so real! I truly am like controller queen. Alright, oh, hello. I should pause the music. Have you guys been enjoying my...
Beautiful.
Hi.
You're like a vision.
You too. Where's the camera right now?
Like
It's
an
over here.
angel that came from can I, is that what you,
Yeah?
Can I drink weed? Can I please drink weed?
You could drink weed. It's okay. It's okay.
Yay! Okay, I'm gonna do it before we go through the door.
You got
so I
it.
won't disrupt anything. Okay, I'm pouring myself a shot.
Who wants to see us from the side?
I spilled it a little bit on my chin.
Oh no.
It's hard to do it when I'm in VR.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
We're in the climax of our anime, that's why we're glowing like this.
Yeah, we're about to like reach Super Saiyan God 4, I think.
So true. Secret Gordy, thank you very much for the... Fuck yeah, dude. I don't... Is that something you've ever done? They've blown up moons and planets and stuff. Have they ever blown up a sun?
I mean, maybe it's for the best.
I suppose so.
Like, dangerous?
True.
I feel like caught on fire.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that would finally kill Goku, I think, is catching on fire.
Catching on fire!
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready to go in.
Yes, alright. So I'm rotating the camera so they're seeing what we're seeing. So here's a beautiful door. Yes, we'll take each other's hand and we'll go through the door together at the same time. Okay?
Let's take ibuprofen together.
Wait, do it again.
Let's take ibuprofen together.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Do I have to click on it? Oh.
No, it goes.
What the fuck? Oh my god! 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 Oh wow. There's a lot happening.
No, yeah, it's beautiful, right? Isn't it nice?
There's a lot happening and yet it's so serene.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So yeah, this is my favorite world in VR, like easily, or VRchat anyway. Easily. It is so gorgeous. It is such a gorgeous tribute to Ghibli movies, which I love so much. Oh, you're on the floor.
Favorite? Does it look like I'm laying?
No.
Kind of.
Not at all.
Okay.
It does not look like that. I'm so sorry.
Here, I'll try again. Wait, give me a second. Oh.
I'm using a Valve Index, and you were using a Quest 2, I think?
I got a Quest 2, yeah. Electric Boogaloo.
But yeah, this world...
It doesn't look like I'm laying.
No, I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's okay. It's alright, bud. It's okay.
There's a butterfly. Oh, are you punching it?
Yeah. Hit. Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, hold on. I gotta put the camera somewhere else. Hold on.
Okay.
So where they can see our fight better. Well, they have to see our cool fight first. Woo.
Oh, okay.
I love worms. Thanks so much for following. Okay, hold on. Let me. Where was you? Okay.
Okay, ready? Well, actually, just let me know when you're ready.
Okay, so then. I guess they can see our fight like this. Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I fucking guys. My earbuds came out.
Sorry.
I tried to dodge your punch, and my earbuds just flew out of my ear.
Oh shit.
And also, I'm bleeding. What are you doing?
That's my alarm for my estrogen went
Where
off.
did you go?
I'm here.
Oh! When do you want to do that?
Like
this
10
world?
minutes. Yeah, let's do it after this world.
Okay. Well, then let's get started. I want to see that rock over there.
Yeah. Give me a moment. Here we go. Hi. is the rock from Spirit.
Do you recognize this rock?
I do recognize this rock. Can you guys see the face? Hold on.
It's the creepy rock.
Yeah, it's our friend.
It's that creepy ass rock from Spirited Away.
Y'all know it.
I don't know this guy. Do you think he's alive? Do you think there's a spirit within him?
They won't come look at this because it's overheads. Looking with the Netflix real quick. Sorry, I was reading chat.
What?
Do you
Hi,
want to get
chat.
spirited away? Hi.
Oh, I really do. I really do. I want
Okay.
to see you, Baba.
Not yet. Let's look at other stuff first. We can get
We can
spirited
do
away
it.
later. You want to go look at house? Okay.
You tell me what to do.
No, just there are things to see. There's a little house over there.
I wanna
There's
see the guy.
turnip.
The guy.
Kabu. Kabun? Kabu? I think it was Kabu.
What's his name?
Oh, yeah, I think his name is Kabu.
Oh. I think his name is Turnip Head. Oh, he's bouncing away.
Whee!
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay.
Oh, is he bouncing away for you?
Tell me where to go. What? He's bouncing away? Yeah.
Oh, not for me. Hold on.
You know?
Eh. Oh, now he is. Well, I think because he's actually physics based.
Oh, well now he's right here. Is he moving a different way for you?
He's here now. He's. Eh.
Bouncing into him and see if he follows the same path as me, I guess. Oh. Oh. Yeah, he's like he must be moving a different.
Well, I think he's just physics based, so he just bounces off of you when you hit him.
Oh, yeah.
I never knew that because I never.
Just like standing.
Wait, he just stands now for you? Oh yeah, wait, he's stopping for me too.
Yeah, he said, "Okay, I'm done bouncing now. I think
I'm done. I'm good.
Whose house is that? Is it the Totoro house? No.
Isn't it?
The Arietti house, maybe?
And see,
No, I don't
no, I'm pretty
It's like the
sure.
white house with the red roof. Totoro!
Yeah.
Oh, it's Totoro!
See, this is why I love bringing people here. Because when they're really big fans, they just go, "Oh my gosh, it's the thing! It's the thing!"
I wanna slap this bitch for me. Yeah. Wait, here
Yeah.
I go.
Yay! He's so big and soft.
Big soft.
Big soft. That's the thing. He's so big soft. You know?
He's big and he's soft.
He's big
I
and
think that's
soft. Wait,
crazy.
I can interact with him. I think.
Stand on his head.
Hold on. Oh. I'm sitting in a tree.
What? Where are you?
I'm up above.
Room for one more.
Absolutely. Where's the camera?
I must be not in this correctly.
I can't see the camera. Oh, there you are. Hi. Hold on, let me just
Am I,
completely
like,
break
in
my
the tree?
bones. Yeah, you're sitting in the tree.
Do I look strange?
You're fine. Hmm.
We're in a tree.
Hi.
Hi. How is chat doing? Are you guys liking this? Is this a beautiful world?
Yeah, are you having fun? I didn't notice it was a
Inside our
breathing
beautiful
animation.
minds?
I thought Totoro was deflating for a second.
We popped him.
Oh,
I poked him too hard.
It's becoming nighttime. Hold on. Look.
There's something awesome at night. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Wait, where are you?
Follow me.
Okay, are we chasing the moon?
Well, I think we have to hold on a little second.
What the hell is that? What is that yellow cube? Oh my god! Oh my god!
didn't even know what you're talking about. There we go. There it is. Yeah, you're a little bit ahead of me, it seems.
What
That's
do you
okay,
mean?
though.
Oh, the
Nope.
time, the sync.
Yeah, that's okay,
Oh,
though.
it's so bright and
I know, yeah. Anyway, known fans will recognize this as that station building. Oh yeah,
I
you
saw
gotta
the
stick
entire
around.
fucking city appear.
Let's go.
Are we going in? Oh my god.
I mean, of course. Yeah.
I didn't even do anything, ma'am.
No, but it's Princess Mononoke. She
Oh, she fucking disappeared.
I know, she vanishes.
She's an expert huntress.
Truly.
What was that?
It was the wolf gods.
Is that Princess Mononoke also?
Have you seen Princess Mononoke?
I have, but I don't remember like the noise that they make specifically.
Well, I mean, they're just big, powerful wolves that can talk. They can make wolf noises.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, running around over there. That's so cool. What are these? It's like fucking pitch black.
I think these are just big rocks.
Oh, okay. What movie is that from?
Totoro 2, The Big Rock. That's the movie.
Totoro 2, Boulder Bonanza. Oh, this is gorgeous. Wow.
Totoro 2, rocking out.
Rocking out.
But look, here we are at the bathhouse.
We have to hold our breath when we go over the bridge.
Oh, right, of course, yes.
And also, don't talk to No Face. Don't talk to that guy. Oh, he just disappeared anyway. Okay, good. We don't have to deal with him. Did he disappear for you too? Alright, I'll hold my breath. I'm really bad at holding my breath.
I'm not. That's okay. You're always breathing in the chemicals, never not, so you're really bad at holding your breath. Where'd you go? Alright. Yeah, you get teleported here.
The
Chemicals.
Oh, wow. I feel so small.
I
Do you
know.
feel small, or is it just because I'm small?
It's a bit of both, I think. I think you feel extra small because you're small. But this place is also really, really, really big, though. Chet, you don't even know. Check it out.
Yeah, you gotta feel the scale of it all. Oh, wow.
God. Of course,
Can I pick up
If-
the bathhouse tokens? Let's see.
I don't think so.
No,
Of course, if you're not in VR, then the skill of this is a little lost on you. But just trust me when I say this place is big.
I'm sitting here.
God damn.
Hello, would you like a bath token? I have ones with stripes, and I have ones with a circle, and I have ones with diamonds.
Oh, that would be absolutely delightful. May I please have a diamond?
I would, but I think I superglued them all together by accident.
Oh, a common mistake. Oh, no problem at all. We've all been there. Yes, yes.
Every day.
Of course.
Sometimes myself, I often get super glue all over my belongings.
I sometimes superglue myself to the chair. Then I have to work overtime.
That one's especially fun. Ooh. Ooh. Are they invisible? Are
This
you
is what they look
invisible?
like.
They're like, they're spirits. So I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, I sometimes have to reposition a little bit. If you wanna.
Ooh, the green goop is so refreshing for my joints.
Yay. Nice and relaxing. Yes. Yes. Hold on.
That's fucking nice. That's the stuff.
This is a fucking, yeah.
Back up.
Well, the camera can't fucking see me. Hold on.
People need to see. This music is really awesome too.
Yeah, dude, it's like it's from the movie or something. Sorry.
They make it here. At the
They
bathhouse.
they make it here.
They make it here at the bathhouse too. They make music.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things on Bandcamp.
Which you should support Bandcamp. If you like music, you should see if the artist's on Bandcamp, and you should get it, and you should not use Spotify.
Especially on Bandcamp Friday when all of the proceeds go to the artists when you buy albums.
So true, so true, so real, so true.
I unfortunately I do use Spotify though. I don't pay for it though. I'm on a family account.
Oh, well, do you also still use Bandcamp though?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, okay, alright, okay then, alright, okay. Then I guess it's fine.
Okay,
Ow.
okay.
Where's No Face?
just
I
what
want
I
to
got.
pursue material wealth without considering the consequences. Maybe we'll see him later, who knows?
He was on the bridge. Yeah, he might show up though. Maybe something horrible will happen. Who's to say?
Who's to say? I don't know why. He seems nice. And normal.
I think by the end of this, he's gonna be going like, "Where's Zoe? Where's Zoe?"
Wait, check this out.
Wait, one second.
Nice, 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 nice.
Green.
Green. This is the weed drink you've been talking about, because it's green. That's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm gonna get fucked up.
We're bathing into shit.
Budo is really mad at me for doing this.
Why?
He gets mad at me when I do anything. It's okay, I'm petting him.
When I do anything.
I'll do anything, and he'll be
Nice.
running at me with his beak open and ready to clench. Do you want to check out the other baths? House?
Yeah.
The baths in the bathhouse? I wanna
Let's
see
do
those
that.
duckies.
I'm stuck.
You guys got the weed drink too?
Everybody here does the weed drink. That's what you come to the bathhouse for the weed drink, you know?
That's what I fucking came here for.
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about.
Hey, duckies.
Hold on, let me take a picture.
Yes, I love funny little duckies. People know this about me.
Nice.
That's fucking awesome.
Good. I cannot do a thumbs up, dude. I can do this.
Why?
No, nothing. I wasn't doing anything. No, no, no. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I started burping.
No, I did not hear that.
That's when people are mean to me. I just start burping.
This is your defense mechanism is burping.
And also farting if I really gotta go into go time. But usually people are really nice to me, so I don't have to do that.
The better, because you're so niceys.
You're so nice.
You're so
Yeah,
niceys.
don't forget your E. Is it okay that we're delaying it?
That's fine. I can delay it by a maximum of 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's all
we can
good.
yeah, we can take a break after.
We can take a time, yeah. Take a break after this world, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what we did last time too, right?
I think so. When did this turn into a hot tub stream? It's not, they're not hot tubs. They're weed baths. It's very different.
There's a little guy right here. Do you see him?
Yes. Book.
Here.
Look at the little guy, Chad.
This is my son.
This is the
His
son.
name is Geronimo.
Stilton?
What? His
Stilton?
name's Geronimo?
Geronimo Stilton?
Stilton.
Wait, isn't Geronimo? Isn't that like a rat?
Oh, I don't know.
Chat-
I just
chat,
named him
isn't-
Geronimo right now.
Chad, isn't that like a guy? Isn't Geronimo Stilton like a mouse or red based comic book series or something? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
someone gotta Google this for us.
You can delay
Chat
for a
Google.
maximum of
Chat
2
Google
hours,
now.
but after that your hair starts
Geronimo
getting
Stilton.
shorter.
No!
My
make sure to
transition
get
is
it
going
to
to
you.
reverse. Yeah. Damn. That's fucked up. That's
It's like
scary.
a magic potion.
Yeah.
It's from Shrek. Do you know Shrek? Of course you know Shrek.
Of course I fucking know Shrek 2, dude. I'm world's
You know Shrek too.
I'm world's not the but one of biggest Shrek fans, maybe, probably not, because I don't earn any merchandise, but I do love the movies a lot. Well, here's my rating of the
Well,
Shrek
can you-
movies.
That's what I wanted to know.
So it's Shrek 2, Shrek 1, Shrek 4, and then Shrek 3.
Shrek the Third.
But if we want to, yeah, Shrek, yeah. So 4 is also Forever After, of course. If we want to include the
Shrek the Halls.
Shrek the Halls, Scared Shrekless,
Scared Shrekless.
those are both still better than
What
Shrek
about-
3, I'm gonna say. The first Puss in Boots movie is between 1 and Forever After. And The Last Wish is actually at the top. That's the best one.
Better? You think it's better than Shrek 2?
I think it's better than Shrek 2.
It's really fucking good.
It's so goddamn good.
Shrek 2 is just like so. They're both so different. They're different.
They're
movies.
different. They're different movies. I just think like if we're on a base level, I would say The Last Wish is the better one, just because the visual style is so incredible, the pacing, you know, the way that it handles its characters and their arcs and stuff. That's just God. It's so good. Also, it's got
character
Goldilocks. I
design, the
love Goldilocks so
shapes.
much, dude. She's the
Oh,
best.
that makes sense.
Yeah, doesn't it though?
And if you don't like Goldilocks, you can get the fuck out.
You can get the fuck out of our goddamn stream. Oops, I grabbed the camera. I'm always doing
You
that.
grab it and then you choke it.
Anytime I want to punch the camera, I just start grabbing it. There, I just have to not look angry while I do it.
Yeah, she's gonna get you. She's gonna get you. No one can see me. I'm too small.
I did it again.
Yeah, no, okay, that's what I was gonna ask. What about, I mean, well, Fry is calling it Shrek 4D The Ride, but the film is called Ghost of Lord Farquaad.
It's
How
just
do you
kind
feel
of...
about that? I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, honestly. It's not that amazing or anything. It's cute.
I might put it like under Shrek 4. Or maybe somewhere, maybe like under the Scared Shrekless. I don't remember the difference between. I might have to rewatch Shrek the Halls this year. I know Scared Shrekless because that's like the anthology. With
Yeah.
like Gingy getting like a girlfriend or something. And
Yeah. No, that one's like kind of fun.
Is there a bug?
FNAFy, hello, thank you very much for following. Hope your name doesn't have anything to do with FNAF, as in Five Nights at Freddy's, because I don't support that shit.
FNAF at Freddy's.
Better not.
Aw.
But thanks for following.
What if you do it not monetarily?
I don't
What if
know.
you pirate?
I don't know. I mean, it's less bad. I'm still not really for it, to be honest, because it's still just inherently made by that dude, and like by saying like, oh man, Shrek's cool. I like Shrek. Not Shrek. FNAF. Shrek is cool, and I do like Shrek. Is the thing about it. But like, okay, say like, let's say like, okay, I'm pirating FNAF, and I'm saying like, I like FNAF. I pirated FNAF. It's good. Someone who doesn't know how to pirate or doesn't really care because they don't have it properly explained to them might then go, damn, I guess I'll check it out too, and pay for it.
I
you
guess I'll
know?
go buy it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know? It's a slippery
It's so
slope, I feel.
fun.
It also helps that I just don't think that FNAF is that
I
good.
literally
So,
think it's so hard to like avoid people who like FNAF.
It
So
is.
many people on this goddamn planet love
I
FNAF.
I know. And when kids do it, it's
It's
like,
rough,
yeah,
though.
sure, because kids don't really know or think about that stuff, you know? But, I don't know.
Yeah. I
I'm
think
always-
it's so funny that the kids love FNAF and all the like it's horror. It's scary, but I guess kids like that now.
I
wouldn't have
mean,
liked that when I was a kid.
you didn't have like a bit of
Strawberry
a...
shortcake.
You didn't have like a bit of a fascination with scary stuff when you were little?
It made me cry.
Sure,
fascinating.
sure. I mean,
I
Yeah.
had things that scared me Shrekless. I got scared Shrekless.
and when you don't have Shrek, that's when you get really sad. Because you're
Yeah, but
Shrekless.
it's not like stuff I bought merchandise of, you know?
No, that's true, that's
I
fair.
would have been like, I don't want to buy the Five Nights at Freddy's plush because that'll remind me of FNAF 4, which gave me nightmares when I saw it. I didn't
Yeah.
buy it. I didn't buy any FNAF stuff ever.
Good.
I think I bought the phone app. But
Was a
that
phone
wasn't
app?
my money.
Just-
Yeah, when I was in like middle school or high school, it was right when FNAF came out. It was before people knew he was bad.
right,
Because it was
yes.
right when well, actually, that's not really. I don't. You know, we don't have to talk
It's
about
fine, it's okay, it's alright, it's whatever. Let's keep
I
going.
don't want to talk about that guy.
No, I don't. I also don't, actually.
I've only seen 2 bathhouses.
Well, it's one bathhouse, but only... There he is!
Zoe, I want Zoe.
I'm here, motherfucker! This...
Do you think he's gonna eat you?
No, he loves me.
Oh, he can eat.
Does this get picked up by the camera? I can't really tell.
What's happening?
You have become pig. You ate the food! You weren't supposed to eat that!
Oh my god!
You fool!
Oh my god! I just wanted to click. Does that mean I can keep eating though?
But yeah, that's also like the movie.
Oink oink. Oink oink oink. Oink oink. Oink oink.
I love that you can become a pig if you eat the food. It's so funny.
You're not gonna eat it? You don't want to be a pig with me?
Kids really should get into good horror like Silent Hill 3 or Signalis. I agree. Silent Hill is so fucking good.
All kids need to watch Perfect Blue. Directed by Satoshi Kon.
I mean, if we want to get kids started on kids horror, just bring back Courage the Cowardly Dog, you know? That's what I grew up on, and I was like, damn, this shit fucks, you know?
So true. That shit does fuck.
It does.
I was very scared of that though, but I still watched it, but I got really scared whenever it came on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that was what I liked about it.
Yes. The scariest one was You're Not Perfect to me. Do you remember that one? with the blue
Absolutely,
guy?
dude. Absolutely, dude.
Not perfect. That gave me nightmares.
You're not perfect.
I need a pig hug. I'm so scared.
Why? That's okay.
I need a pig hug.
It's okay, bud. But remember, you're not perfect. It fucked me up. I fucked me up. It gave me so many goddamn nightmares, dude. It was insane. I could not handle that episode. It fucked me up.
The one, really?
Yeah, dude. That visual of that thing, just like just a shot, just that early CG shot of that thing. You're not perfect. Fucked me up.
Vindicated.
I mean, I feel like that fucked up a lot of people.
About that one.
Really? Because I remember, like, I mean, it was years ago at this point, but I remember a lot of people talking about that specific episode and that specific
I
scene.
always hear people doing overturn the slab.
Well, yeah,
and
'cause it's a
also the one with
meme.
The hair cutting guy. Yeah, that's
Because it's a meme. Because they're memes.
Yeah, no, you're not perfect. Scare me the most, and my brother would always like send it to me to scare me.
Aw,
Like,
the-
the clip of it on YouTube.
Mean.
And
I think.
also, while we talk about Shrek,
Uh-huh.
have you seen the technical goofs? It's like the special. It's
Yes.
really loud over here with the water.
Is it?
Yeah, it's because water's pouring on No Face. I'm a piggy. Ah, you Baba's up there. Should I stop being a pig or am I?
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
There she is.
Hey, you
Hold on.
Baba.
Let's take a photo with. Hold on. Can you switch back to your normal model? we should take a photo with you, Baba.
Yeah. Yes. I'm a pig.
Hold on. Let me see. If I do this like so. Alright, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So now, if we go over, like kneel down, it's like,
Oh.
You know?
You're gonna flip you Baba up?
no. We're just gonna point at her, you know? Okay, yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. That'll be good.
Oh, I'm gonna keep going.
Won't that be fun?
I wasn't moving.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yes. No, I can't have my.
Wait, let me do an ooh too.
Okay, cool, awesome.
We're so good. We're so good at this.
We're gonna go beat you Baba up.
Mm. The unblinking eyes of all the models here really selling the theme park experience. I know, right? And they're like small animations and stuff. Where did Jules? Oh, there you are. How'd you get up there again? Oh, right, I remember. I'll be there in a moment. Oh, right, I forgot about that. I have to use the stairs like a normal person. God, the music's so good. God, this movie's so good. I should rewatch this
Mama,
movie.
you're so big. You're so big, Mama. I didn't know that there was like a normal
There's
way.
TV
I just
here, hold
flew
on.
up here.
I have to rotate. There she is.
Can I just like stick my head out? Am I under her boobs?
It's sort of inside of him.
This is the dream. Yeah, punch her nose. Punch her big nose. Her honker. I'm gonna pick her nose.
Gross. Disgusting.
Disgusting. The biggest nose to pick.
You've achieved everything.
See that there's
Whoa.
the ghost over there.
Yeah.
The spirit.
The big river
Yeah, should we
spirit.
jump back down and
Let's
see
do
her?
it. Hold on, I'm gonna. Hold on. Does it look at me? Wait, hold on. Gonna give you guys a good view of the jump. Okay. All right, check it out, gang. Woo! Yeah!
Awesome!
Fuck yeah, dude. Hi.
This is freaking awesome.
This is honestly so fucking awesome. Hi. Jills. Oh.
Yes, Zoe!
This corner is fucking awesome. Jules, can I just say...
Fucking awesome.
Can I just say, Jules, this is honestly epic.
I can't believe how awesome this is. Like, every day I wake up, and yeah, it's cool, but today especially, like, this is freaking epic and swag.
I hate this. This sucks.
No, it's awesome!
Alright, I forgot it's totally tubular, dude. Yeah.
I know that you feel it inside your heart. I need to drink water.
Yeah, me too, actually. Where's my... Oh. Unhappy cat. Why are you unhappy? But thank you very much for following.
Unhappy cat! Hi, unhappy cat!
Is that someone you know?
Unhappy cat made a VRchat world for me. That's what I was
What?
telling you about.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I need to share it so people can visit it so it will get out of, what is it called? The green
Lab.
light, the VRchat World Labs. I fucking hate that shit. That is not awesome. That is not.
That is not cool at all, and I don't even have hands right now to gesture about it.
Oh no. Can you feel this? I'm pinching you.
I'm being pinched. I have to walk away from the
that's how I-
pinching.
Wait, where's my... I'm sticking my tongue out.
Where my controllers go? There they are. We are children.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I'm making fart noises with my tongue.
It's okay. It's all right. Anyway, I had a sippy.
Do you want to go see the spirit?
Yes.
I didn't see him. Then we can move on. This guy really scared me when I first saw the movie.
Me too. It was kind of the scariest thing in here because I didn't get it. I just thought it was fucking weird.
And the way he would like, I don't know, just the sound design is very like unsettling. I don't know what noise it made. It was like,
Yeah, yeah. Hi. This is cute, actually. Look at this. Hi.
this one's too big for me.
Hello. You gotta like stand here and then jump.
So cute together.
Like stand here and then jump. Okay, you jump a little.
Is this
Yeah, that's sure. That's good. Yay. Hi. That's good. He gets so damn clean. Boing. Boing.
Yeah, this bed's a little too big for me. I think I gotta stay in the shallow end.
Yeah. But there's more to see
The
still.
little guy's pool. Okay, lead the way.
I will.
To the stairs. Yay.
I mean, we can go up again if we want, but there's not much else to see there.
Oh,
And there's some guys here.
oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. We can just we saw up these already.
Okay.
Oh, where are you?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Hi.
Oh my gosh.
Look over there also.
There you are, you fucking incel. You make me sick, dude. Oh, he's Someone click that, please. Really laugh.
That was really good. Why is my microphone? Okay, there we go. My mouth wasn't moving. That's weird. Oh well.
It's because I think you were making noises that weren't picking up.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be it. Man,
That'll do.
that'll do. Anyway, look over there in the distance.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's like the city. I don't remember what it's called.
I don't remember.
City of Spirits.
Yeah,
How beautiful.
it's gorgeous. Wow, what a beautiful sight this is. Hold on, let me take a photo.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
I feel so beautiful in the moonlight. And Haku is up there. Can I fly up to Haku? Oh my god, is Lynn up there? Or is it just... I gotta go see.
Yeah, you gotta go see. I've never been there. Ow, fuck. Stuck on a tree. Chet, quickly. Quickly while Jules isn't here. Shit, she's coming back. She's a really good friend, just so you guys know. Yeah, hi.
What?
Nothing.
So I thought that there was maybe a person there, but it's just his little chicken feet. Bird feet. But
Oh yeah. Oh, hello.
there was like sounds coming from like the door. And so I was about to try to go in, but I didn't want to leave you just in case I went somewhere. But can I try it?
Which, the door up there?
Let's try to walk in.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear things. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Don't look at my skirt.
Oh, sorry. I
Did you
should
see my Bart Simpsons?
No, maybe. I don't pay attention to that. I'm so sorry.
I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm Ace.
Yeah, I know. I think it's just a funny way to say it.
Yeah, that is good though.
I forgot we were. Wait! Oh my god.
Whoa!
my God.
I forgot about this.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This must be Howl's Moving Castle, right?
Yeah, this is from Howl's Moving Castle. These are the falling stars.
I love Howl's Moving Castle. It's one of my favorite ones.
So real, so
My
true.
favorite one.
It's one of my favorites, even probably Ariete, but maybe Kiki's Delivery Service, maybe a Laputa Castle in the Sky.
I love Castle in
Maybe-
the Sky, and there's a giant fucking warship. flying in the
Yep.
sky.
There it is. It might also be Nazca of the Valley of the Wind, though. That one is also just so fucking gorgeous. Not technically a Ghibli movie, but it, you know, everybody who worked on it just went on to make Ghibli. Yeah, it was with Toei still.
Yeah. One that I love is Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro.
Also very, very, very fun.
Huge Lupin fan.
That is, I will admit, the only
so
Lupin
awesome.
thing I've seen. I'll never have to be closer together so we can
That's
actually
a
on
lot of
screen.
people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've seen like a lot of Lupin movies. I haven't seen a lot of the show.
Mhm.
I've seen some of it, but I love Lupin. I think it's fun to just like watch a random Lupin the Third movie because they're so cool.
They
I
are.
love Lupin.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to move somewhere?
Yeah,
I
because
don't
there's
know all the places to go to.
over here. Like in the movie.
Oh.
We gotta go in the little door.
Oh. Oh my god.
I think. Do we? Do we not? Do we go past it? We just go past it. Whatever, just come here.
Oh, okay.
Eh.
Oh, what? Huh?
Over here.
Oh.
That way.
Oh wow. Oh my god, do we Oh my god, this is so scary.
Yep. So, to those who haven't seen the movie, this is an incredibly rickety little bridge here. They shrunk it down a bit from what the size in the movie, but it's still... Oh shit, the train is leaving. We have to go get to the train, quick.
Oh.
No, it's moving.
Whoa.
Click on the door.
Oh, I'm on it. Wait.
I'm not.
Hello?
Wait, I am? Am I? I'm not. Help.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Okay,
shit.
it's fine, I'm in the water.
That's okay. So we missed the train.
We're just alone now?
Yeah.
Wait. Did it teleport? Like, are we not at the boiler room?
Well, it's
Or at the
daytime.
Bathhouse? Oh. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, wanna do House Moving Castle?
Yeah, sure. Let's go to Howl's Moving Castle.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It's okay, we'll come back tonight.
Now there's one more problem, which is that we might not actually be able to go back because we are still technically in the spirit world. So that means we're trapped. But I'm not sure, so we'll find out.
Okay, let's run. That sucks that we missed the train.
It's like it was by a hair too.
Fine. Yeah, I got in, but I wouldn't go without you.
Yeah, thank you.
This big buggy.
Also, Jody, we gotta watch some of these then. If you've never even heard of Ghibli movies.
Oh my gosh. It's an experience, really.
They're just some of my favorite movies, like
Oh my
all of
God, I
them.
think I'm hitting like a wall.
Yeah, there's a wall, but I think maybe over here we can get out. Nope. Yeah, we're trapped.
Holy shit, this must be how the ghosts feel.
And also how the protagonist of the movie Spirited Away felt when she got spirited away.
She literally did. Do you want to like reload the world?
I
Do
guess.
you want me to drop another portal? I guess. Oh.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. We were just having so much fun in the bathhouse. You know, I don't mind.
Okay, here we go.
Head hurting a bit from the headset though. Not gonna lie. Oof! Ouch.
Do you want to take a break?
Maybe we take a break since we have to reload the world anyway.
Yeah. Okay, how about we walk in there and then when we load in, we take a break.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Load. There we go. Whew. E. Yeah, we're gonna take an E break. The headset has challenged me to combat. Okay, I'm gonna take a break and stomp on it. The bathhouse is super cool. This is just such a beautiful world. I really, really love going to this world. Just vibing and stuff. With the music and a nice audio design and stuff. Eee. Showed up to the train station 1 minute late. Now you're cursed to work in Yubaba's bathhouse forever. Yubaba didn't fucking count on, you know, resetting the universe though. Hi.
Yeah, she doesn't know what we're capable of. We're like Flowey.
Exactly.
We're like Flowey. Okay.
We're like a
you
flower.
do your break,
Yes.
and I'll be hanging out, and I'll be looking at chat and checking my emails.
Yay. I'll check my emails too. Okay. Oh.
Checking my email. Okay, I'll be back.
Yes, we'll be back. See y'all soon. Bye. Time to crumple. Hi. I totally forgot about eggs. Can we, mods? Can we just like refund all the eggs and turn them off for today? I know it's a shame, but you know, it's kind of hard to do eggs while in VR. You know. Hi, Jules. Hi. Just give me one more moment. I'm gonna. Hi.
I came running.
Yay! So excited. Let me just do a little. It was good. I sat, I gelled, I ate a bit of chocolate, and I read some Yuri. It was basically perfect.
Yay! Oh, that sounds delightful and perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I peed. And
Wonderful.
oh yeah, I was talking in my Discord. I saw that Fiona and Kate got renewed for a new season, and I'm really excited about that. And then I got. Do you know What We Do in the Shadows? Okay, if you don't.
I know it. I didn't finish watching it though.
Okay, do you know Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Is that the one where the points don't matter and stuff?
Yeah, that's the show where the points don't matter. It's the improv show.
Then yes,
It's
I
like
do.
one of my favorite shows.
Then yes, I do know it.
Okay,
Also,
so
I bumped everywhere
I was talking in
on the socials.
You what? You bumped?
I bumped the post on the
good.
socials. You know, I bumped.
Oh, let's go.
You know,
That's a good thing to do. I was wondering if you would be doing that during your break. That sounds like
I did do it.
thing to do.
Yeah, I worked it into my routine, so now I can like do it. If you want, it's up to you.
Here I go. I have my headset on, but I'm looking through my little peephole at my phone.
Yeah.
How are we on time, by the way? How much time do we have left?
Well, if we've been going for an hour and a half. Well, we've got 2 hours until midnight, but I don't know if I want to keep going that long since I did have a bit of a busy day. So I'm thinking, well, maybe the other maps we had planned, we're just gonna have to stay for a third time.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's just like be in Ghibli world for the rest of our time.
Yeah, it's nice. We could just sit somewhere and talk.
Yes, we can just hang
Yeah.
out. We can just vibe.
Yeah.
And then you won't have to fiddle with your camera anymore.
Yeah. But
That seems like hard.
It's fine. I'm just worried every time I do this, it gives like, you know, whoa, it gives people like vertigo or something, you know?
Don't give anyone motion sickness.
Yeah, exactly. But you were talking
Am I,
before we go in. You were talking about something. I see your eyes. It's right
Oh,
here.
I was talking about Whose Line Is It Anyway and how Colin Mockery is my favorite guy from it, but I accidentally typed Colin Robinson, and I was like, I didn't get his name right, did I? What the fuck is his last name? And I was like, who's Colin Robinson? And then someone was like, it's the vampire from What We Do in the Shadows. And I was just laughing. And I made such a silly error.
That's okay. What if they're the same person though? Have you considered that?
They're both bald. They're like both bald white men.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
And they kind of like speak in like a monotone fashion. So those are similarities. But I love Colin Mockery. That's
Same
like one of
person.
the funniest guys alive. I think.
If that's a bald guy I'm thinking of, then yeah, I agree. Yes, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yay. What
Yay.
is the plan? Are we
Castle. Whoa! You can't see it anymore. It's already gone. There's an airplane. We're gonna go to the castle, the house moving castle, until it gets nighttime, and then we're gonna go into the spirit world again, and then we're gonna catch the train this time.
Yes, we are. We're not gonna miss that train. Does the train just spawn like whenever we walk up to it at nighttime, and we just gotta get on it?
No, I think it just comes around at some point once nighttime has started, and then leaves, and then comes back, and then leaves, and just keeps doing that until it's
Stick
daytime
around
again.
for it when it turns nighttime.
Exactly.
I see.
You can do it. You can go in. There we go.
I'm so dang short.
You are so fucking short.
Calcifer! Oh,
Yeah,
it's just a
Calcifer's here.
JPEG.
I know, Calcifer is one of the parts in this world where it's like, well, they tried. Jules? Where did she go? Did she teleport somewhere? Where did she... Jules? What happened?
I did something really silly.
Jesus Christ, this scared the shit out of me.
I did something too silly.
What happened?
I pushed respawn by accident.
Oh,
I was
okay.
trying to push my crouch button.
Ah.
Oh, they're right next to each other.
Oh yeah, because you're sitting on a chair, aren't
Did I
you?
frighten you?
Yeah, you were suddenly gone. I was like, what? You know what? I was like gesturing around trying to find like a button you pushed accidentally or something, you know, like a teleport thing.
Yeah, I
Ow.
wanted to see Calcifer. My story is that I got too close to him and I burned to ash. And
That's it,
and
yeah.
I disappeared. But
Chet also says that you're a tiny gremlin running around outside my field of view. Yeah.
Everyone always says that about me. Everyone says I have gremlin energy in VRchat because I just run around and I'm small.
Yeah, you do. And do that. Hold on, can I? Hold
I
on.
are and I do.
Hold on, wait. I have to switch to a different avatar real quick. Hold on. Okay, if I go... Put this in the world. Can I reach? No, hold on. Ow. What? Yes, she died.
What's wrong? Who? Me?
Yeah,
No!
sorry.
I would give Calcifer a kiss.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it's still
No,
worth
come on.
it if I burn to ash.
I'm trying to do a way where you can see both chairs so you can look at us as we sit by the fire, but...
Oh, isn't there a way to, like, change the like...
Oh, wait, hold on. Can I, like...
Make it wider?
Can I do this while I'm flying exit? Okay.
Yay!
Ah, here we go.
I hope I'm not mispronouncing it.
Meats? Oh, neats. Yeah, you got it
I
right.
love your tall lady.
Thank
It's
you.
so good.
I think she's pretty neat. Okay, this'll
Your
do.
meats is neat.
Alright. But now you have to say goodbye to her again. Because now I'm me again. Yeah. And now we're sitting here. Yay! And we're looking at each other and we're doing a podcast and we can do advertisements or whatever in the middle because there's a lot of empty space between us.
Oh yeah, that's where you put all of the quip ads. for
Yeah.
Refresh,
And like any like
all
graphics
logos.
related, yeah. Go play World of Tanks. Go reveal
Yeah.
classified U.S. military documents about it. I love that they keep doing that. It's so funny.
Get Raid Shadow Legends. Just kidding. I think you should
Absolutely
send
fucking don't.
Zoe and I $50.
Oh,
That's
I will
what
like
we're advertising. Give us money.
do it. It'll be fun. I will actually say real quick in that hold on. I'm gonna go. I'm going. Wait. Right over. Right over here, Chad. Right down here. You can see the donation bar. Which I'm not gonna try to plug what I'm doing or anything, but I will say that I rebuilt it. It's new now.
It says Lego Xmas 3.
Yes, because I don't have a lot of space to write there. I kind of do now though because I got rid of the other thing. It means Lego Christmas tree.
Yeah, Lego Christmas 3.
Yeah, Lego Christmas tree, like those plants but big.
Tree.
Yeah.
So you took 3
Yeah. And
So you want to get a Lego Christmas tree?
yeah, they have it right now for $45, and I'll build it on stream. It'll be nice to have because it's like a Christmas tree that you can like customize a bit, and you can build it every year, right? It's a reusable Christmas tree.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I wonder how long it'll take to build. Oh, we need to get her this. Can someone please
It'd be,
find this picture, please?
it'd be,
Christmas gift.
it'd be nice. Don't feel like we're pressuring you into doing it.
It's my job to pressure them. You know?
I guess if you wanna.
Just kidding.
But yes. Anyway, if you it's Ko-fi now. is the point that I want to make. The donation bar is now using Ko-fi. It's actually nicer than it was before because now the little number that it says there is it'll always fit inside the space, so that's nice instead of like going outside of it sometimes. Good. Anyway, and that's good. I'm happy about that. We're no longer relying on stream elements.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I have to like move away from that, and I'm like, I literally don't know how. Mostly, I'm concerned about my chat because my like chat overlay is through it. So
yeah, my chat demo overlay is also still through that, so I also still have to move that. But at least the money thing isn't them anymore and stuff, and none of the chat commands are from them anymore either, so that's good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I have good news.
What's that?
I have good news. Ooh, me, calling me.
Okay, Jules, go. What's the good news?
My Izzy Live 2D model is officially done!
Woo! Yay!
It's done!
Yes! If you haven't seen it yet, it looks so good, dude.
I'm so excited. I want to fucking dive into my new body. I want to dive in.
Swoop! That's totally understandable.
I love it so much.
Put on your new skin.
Like 8 months in the making. 8 months ago is when I commissioned Izzy. And so, yeah, I don't know. It feels like a big old thing.
Yeah.
I still have a lot to do though. But I just want to use it already.
I totally get it. I just remembered, I think there's a place upstairs on a balcony where we can sit also, but like closer together, which would be nice, I think. And also we can see if it's nighttime.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, we're gonna miss nighttime, aren't we?
Yeah. We're just having nice comfort. Hey, who needs nighttime when you have nice time,
Who needs nighttime when you have nighttime?
Well,
not me.
okay.
Oh, it's daytime.
It is daytime.
I love this place.
Look, your skull's freaking. No, seriously though, like, Chad, look.
Silly. Oh, do you want me to? I don't want to fall.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. Da, 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 da.
This is where. Oh,
Yeah.
This is my favorite shot.
It's so nice.
When Sophie's wearing the yellow dress and it's at the end of the movie and they kiss and it's like so romantic.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
I'm taking photos. I love how this movie got so much. We should watch it together sometime.
Me too. Please.
Yeah, dude. Let's absolutely watch it together.
English dub. I like Christian Bale as Hal.
No.
It's very...
Sacrilege.
Is that
It's
not
fine. It's fine. I don't know. I've never watched the English version. I'm a fucking shit-ass weeaboo. I only watch the English version. I mean the Japanese version.
You mean the Japanese?
The Japanese version.
I've never watched the Japanese version.
We should watch the Japanese.
I'll watch that one for you.
Okay, wait. What we should do is we watch it separately on our own devices, and you watch the Japanese version, and I'll watch the English version.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be really good. It will work. It will work really well.
What if we did it at the same time and we messaged each other?
That's what I'm saying. Like we watch it at the same time.
Oh, that's fun. That's a really fun idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Whoa.
What?
Is it getting nighttime? Am I going crazy? No? It's so green over there. The sky is so green.
It's fucked up. Why is the sky so green?
I don't know. It's not normal.
It might be getting nighttime.
I feel like it is. Maybe we should go. Well, I guess we can stay up here, but like we could just jump off.
Yeah, we can sit here.
Yeah. Okay.
We can have a little sit-see. What? Huh.
I'm gonna scratch my eye.
Enjoy.
Oh, I think Calcifer looking a little fucked up.
No, yeah, Calcifer looks he looks a little bit weird, I will say.
Yeah. I love Calcifer. I think he's so funny, and I love him in the English dub too. Because he's voiced by God, who is it? The guy who voices Mike Wazowski for Monsters Inc. Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal?
I really love yes, Calcifer's voice.
That's
and I love it.
That's awesome. That's so good.
It's turning nighttime.
It's totally turning nighttime. I guess we should be on our way then.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy the English dub, and I'm sure I'll enjoy the Japanese dub.
Jules? Oh, there you are. Goomba
I
stomp.
slipped and I fell.
It's okay.
Stomping Koopas.
I'm stomping turds, dude. Turties. This way. Yeah. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na.
Turn it up.
Jules, I love that you're doing that little song and I'm just like trying to hum along with the actual music. That's really fun.
Thank you. Really fun.
So fun. Wait, can you already go? I can't go.
Oh my god. You can't go?
I can't go yet. Do you already see the building?
Oh, shut the
Oh, there's the building.
I can't go here. Oh, can you come now?
Yeah, that was weird. Oh well, we're here now.
Did you get? Did she shoot at you?
Yeah, she did.
It's okay.
Okay, chat, in case you didn't know, in case you weren't here before, we've got a train to catch.
Yeah, we do. We got a
Go.
real train to catch.
Go.
Welcome to
Virtual one, actually. It's a virtual train.
It's real to me.
Yeah, real in our hearts, I was gonna say. Sorry, I had to go punch no face.
That's okay. He deserves it.
Whoop!
There's no way I'm catching this train.
The train's not even here yet.
12 hours early.
Yeah.
Like when you gotta. I mean, when I gotta catch a train, I get there like an hour early. And with a plane, 2, maybe 3 hours.
Maybe 3,
early.
yeah. With a...
I hate TSA.
Oh. I don't really have to be that early with the train here, because there's enough trains. Also, wow.
Yeah. So pretty.
So
Is
pretty.
that over there? Is that supposed to be the house from Ponyo?
That one?
Water in the ocean.
Oh yeah, I think it is the House of Ponyo. I never really knew what house that was, but I think you're right. I think it's from Ponyo. Yeah, hold
I
on.
think
Let
it
me...
is.
Yeah, Chet can see it.
Yeah, there's
It's
a
right
little
there.
Boat over there. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's so nice.
I like Ponyo a lot. It's not like one of my favorites, but I just think it's like so beautiful
It's so delightful.
and nice and fun. Yeah, it's just like a good, happy, fun movie to watch.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I did not like it. I thought it was stupid and childish and didn't have the same level of whimsy and beauty as other Ghibli movies, but I don't know. I think I was just like a stupid, pretentious child, you know?
How old were you when you first watched it?
I don't know. I did take my e-break, yes. Yeah, but playing stuff you don't want to risk it. Like, with the train here, it's like, oh, there's another one in like 10 to 30 minutes, so it's whatever if I miss it. Well, kind of whatever, you know? But with a plane, it's like, oh, my life has been ruined, you know?
Yeah. Should we get on?
Yeah, we
Are we
should.
gonna miss it?
Well, the train isn't here for me yet. Now it's coming here. It's here now. It's really low frame rate for some reason.
Strange.
Okay, we should go over here. This one.
I'll follow you.
Make sure you sit down somewhere.
I don't want to. Okay, I'm sitting.
No, come here.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, we can sit next to each other.
I'm so scared.
It's okay. I can't grab the camera from here. I can't grab the camera. The camera is for some reason too far away.
Can you summon it to you?
Yeah, hold on. There.
Your hair is going crazy.
Oh, we've already started driving for you? Why is it always... like, we're always out of sync for some reason. I don't know why. It's weird.
I don't know. We got in, like, basically at the same time. Like, because when I entered and went through the door...
Oh,
God, I'm gonna
shit.
have to close my eyes during this. This is crazy.
My
Close my eyes. Okay.
Yeah, my sensor bar. I just knocked my sensor bar off the table.
Oh no!
I mean, not the table, the TV. It's whatever. It's fine.
Is it
Oh,
like
you're
the
going
Wii?
crazy. Yeah, like the Wii.
Yeah, your hair's going crazy too.
Yeah.
I think I'm like.
Your whole everything is going crazy, dude. This is so funny because in the movie, this train ride is like a really nice introspective moment, and now it's just.
You gotta snap me out of it.
Jules, you gotta. Jules, stay with me, Jules. Stay with me.
I'll be fine, I promise.
Oh my God! No, not yet.
Wait, it's slowing. It's
Can I?
slowing for me.
That's how I look crazy. Oh, okay. Oh, I think we're close though. Jules?
I lived, bitch. Yeah, what, huh? Can
Oh,
you
okay,
hear
you're here. Oh, we're here. We made it.
me? Yeah.
Hooray!
We did that. We so did that.
We so did that. Let me just hold on. Let me
Happening.
try to. It's whatever. I'll do the sensor bar later. Ooh. Where am I? Can someone read this?
I keep seeing some.
Momo? Noka? Anyone who reads Japanese in chat?
Anybody? I can't read kanji. I only know katakana and hiragana.
I know. And that's it.
Oh, there's words over here.
Why is the frame rate so low? I don't get it.
Numenara.
Got the giant fucking battleship though. It's so scary looking. Bye.
The train going?
Yeah. Ow. Oh, I didn't move my chair. There. Anyway, we can go in here.
There's another
Go in the
sign
dark.
that says stuff.
Numenara? Kitanuma? Nonsen.
Nonsense.
Nonsen. I've learned so much. Go in the dark.
Oh, here we are.
Yeah, we're at this house from one of the movies I haven't seen yet, I think. Do you know which one this is?
What?
Cause I don't.
Maybe when Marnie was there?
No, I don't think so. I cried so fucking hard during that movie, dude.
Yeah, it's like a Yuri movie.
Sort of.
Awesome.
Sort of, but it's also just like an incredibly fucking emotional movie. It really
Yeah.
got to me, like
We got
really.
so in.
No, sadly not. But we can walk around here. Any Ghibli heads in chat know what this house is from? Is The Wind Rises? I haven't seen that one yet. From Up on Poppy Hill, maybe? I haven't seen that one yet either.
I love The Wind Rises. There was the where are you?
I'm here.
Oh,
Hi.
There was the little like the parasol on the hill. I saw it on the like. The
Yeah, that's. I know that's from The Wind Rises. Yeah.
That's like one of my favorites. It's so beautiful. I used to have a poster of that scene
Oh.
in my bedroom.
Oh, that's really nice.
Again.
But yeah, I haven't.
Buying posters again.
Dude, I love getting posters. My wall is slowly becoming like completely covered with posters. It's very good.
Yeah. Like what posters do you?
I've got. Oh, hold on. Ow. I'm gonna move a little bit.
Oh no.
My cable is getting completely fucking tangled, so I can't move as far as I could before.
No.
It's okay.
Okay.
Whatever. I've got. Where are you? Jules? Oh, there you are.
Right
Hi.
next to you.
Okay, sorry.
Hi.
I've got a poster of Cardcaptor Sakura. I've got Little Witch Academia, the Magic Parade OVA.
Yay.
David Bowie's Let's Dance album. That one's a very nice poster. That one's like fucking vintage, dude. It's vintage. I got it from my mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right? I've got one of my own posters. You can find it in my merch store. I've got something that I can't remember right now what it is. So that's fun. Why can't I remember?
Is it in your room? Can you just
Yeah.
look around?
Well, it's in my bedroom, so I'd have to go into my bedroom.
Oh no, it's fine.
Grandpa.
Oh god, did you hear the cracking noise? It was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Her body is just.
Of course. How could I forget?
Is this worth it? Is this worth getting to see with the poster? I guess so.
It's the spook slut.
Hi, Derek. What?
The spook slut. You remember the spook slut, don't you? Chad, you remember the spook slut,
like it.
right?
Oh god, sorry. I feel like I know that, but I don't know what it is.
The
Is it-
spook
is it
slut.
something?
Yeah, it's an Efteling thing. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was thinking, but I don't remember like what it is.
It was an attraction. It was like a spooky walkthrough and then show attraction. It was really beautiful.
Was it the one with like the graveyard and the music? Did it
That's
close
right.
down?
Na 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 na. Anyway, that one, yeah. And it was beautiful.
So incredible.
Yeah, and
I heard that it closed down recently. Did it?
It did because well, because it was just not feasible to keep it up anymore. It was too old, and all the scenery in the graveyard scene was made using styrofoam, so they couldn't. It just wasn't.
It's just been like slowly crumbling and.
Yeah. Sadly,
that's
so.
sad.
It
when
is.
I did my like theme park tour stream of it. That was like one of my favorite rides there. I was like, that was an awesome experience.
Yeah, because it's beautiful, dude. But yeah, sadly. Anyway, there was a documentary made out of it, and I got a glow-in-the-dark poster of it, so it's good.
Watch the documentary.
We should watch the documentary together. Wait, hold on. I need you to move a little bit. Just. Yeah, like that. Hold on. Yeah. Because I was gonna put my arm around you, but then my Wii was there, so. Yeah. We can watch it. Oh yeah. And a fucked up end up a show pass. Sorry. There was audio
So we
redeem.
can watch it together.
Yeah, we should. We gotta watch Owl's Moving Castle. We gotta watch The Spook Slut. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's so that's a poster I have. I have a poster of Towerfall Ascension. Same developer as Celeste, by the way. Really good game. I've got a Guild Wars 2 poster. I've got a big trans pride flag, of course, and then I've got a progress pride flag and an ace and lesbian pride flags on my balcony. I've got a Eurocamp poster, and I've got a Murder Drones poster that I haven't put up yet, but I've got it in the frame and stuff. I'm waiting on my fucking hooks to put on the wall, but the goddamn Postal Service hates me personally.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's
They need to
okay.
give you what you want.
They fucking
They
do.
now.
They do, is the thing about it. Anyway, so that's my posters. What about you? Yeah?
Do you want to go sit on that bench over there?
Yeah, let's go sit on the bench.
Oh, the flowers are calling me. Oh, it's so beautiful. There has to be 2 seats here, right?
There's 3 seats.
Yeah. Yay! Oh, amazing.
Yay!
Okay, then we can just hang out here forever.
Yeah, we could just hang out here. Hold on, I'll...
So I, don't have any posters yet. I need to buy them.
Oh, you do? That's nice to have posters.
I don't know where to buy posters is the main thing. I was Googling, where to buy posters on Reddit, and then people were like, go to posters.com.
Posters.com?
It was I don't know, it was a website like that. And, I even tried typing, Sanrio in there, and nothing came up. Sanrio, Hello Kitty, My Melody, Pum Pum Pudding. They didn't have any, so I was like, okay, clearly this isn't the type of poster place I want to shop at.
Clearly not.
Not even one Hello Kitty poster? It just doesn't make any sense.
That's lame.
Yeah. So, maybe I'll go on, a Redbubble or something.
Redbubble's also shitty. I would say, Etsy. That's, TeePublic, I guess. I used to do TeePublic for my merch, but Redbubble just has so many fucking scammers on there, and also, in my personal experience, their product quality just isn't that good. So
yeah, I used to buy stickers from them a bunch because it was very affordable.
don't look now, but there's a big ship coming from over that direction.
I shouldn't look. Should I?
I mean, whatever you want.
I see,
It kind of does look like a big bug. Oh, shit.
It's crazy.
Kind of big bug energy, I'm not gonna lie.
Planes and trains and automobiles,
They're all just big bugs if you really think about it. Oh, the fucking shadow cast over us. It's really cool, though.
This is crazy.
God, I love this world. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I just love how many, moving parts there is to this world. I think it's very impressive. And
Right?
It's also very, very atmospheric.
It's immersive.
For sure, for sure.
But, Redbubble and stuff.
Behind my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm standing I'm sitting down, so it's fine. But in real life, I'm actually standing, so I'm just doing that anime pose,
Yeah, you're doing it. When I was looking on your stream, and when I was putting it, it looked like I didn't have any arms.
Hold on, wait. It does kind of look like that.
My arms are gone. I can't do it. My head's too big.
Okay, wait. MechaVT says Shaky Hands is a worker-owned co-op and is fair trade certified, but is a lot smaller and more limited in what they're capable of making. But might be good to look into. I have over 40 things on my wall. Awesome.
In my life. I need a million things on my wall. My problem is that I rent and I can't really like hang things on the wall.
No, that makes sense.
Other than like with command strips, and command strips like suck. They like barely work.
Mm,
So, but when I was younger, I used like blue like sticky tack. Like I don't know, it was like some
oh
sort of
yeah.
putty.
No, I
And I
get
used
what
to
you're
use that for
talking about.
posters
Yeah.
on my wall.
I know
and
it, I know
actually
it.
sticks really well, or at least it did.
Hmm,
So
hmm.
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a bunch of cool posters.
Fuck
I don't know
yeah.
what of though? I guess stuff I like.
Jules,
What do you do?
there, as a little tip, you know, I do have a merch store, and you can get a poster that is made by a really cool artist. And if you buy it, then you also support that artist. Just as a little suggestion, you know.
I can't.
Okay, actually, not.
hear what you're saying.
It doesn't matter. It was just a stupid fucking plug. It's okay.
It was definitely not picking up on your microphone. So I thought you were pranking me and just like not saying anything.
Did Chet also not hear it?
I don't know if chat room
I
can hear it.
wonder if Chet also didn't. Chet, did you guys hear that at all?
Your audio in VR
Oh, Chet did hear it. Okay, all right.
As chat heard it, it's okay. I'm fine with just not hearing it.
It's okay.
I'm glad.
That's good then. That's all right. That's all we need. I'm actually
curious what this house is. Maybe it's from Kiki's delivery service, like one of the houses she delivered to. Was my other guess.
maybe actually. I suppose.
I don't know.
I guess that's possible. Also, I'm gonna.
Oh, are you gonna say?
Well, sort of. I'm trying. Hold on. There we go. No, I'm sitting down.
How did?
In real life.
Oh, awesome. Oh, cool. Yeah, relax.
Yeah, nice, right?
I'm relaxing.
God,
Oh yeah.
you're even smaller now. Well, you're not. Obviously, you're the same size.
It doesn't help that my butt like sinks into the chair and clips into it.
Yeah, that's
It's
odd.
a bummer. Can't I like adjust my height? Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'll try.
It's fine. There's a scale slider now. You can just make your model bigger. Although that wouldn't solve it. You would still be clipping through the bench, sadly.
Yeah.
the IRL movements and trying to implement them into VR world. It's so funny. I wish I saw what that looked like when I was I hope someone clips me trying to move the chair.
I thought you were gonna sit in the grass and you were moving because it looked like you were doing that, and I was like, oh, you're gonna sit in the grass, and then you went back onto the bench. I was like, oh, never mind. Guess not.
No.
I know that there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way.
So true. I'm so sorry, Chad, about all the redeems and stuff. It's like, the thing is that the sound effects for them, like the little notification sounds, don't always come through the headset, so then I don't hear them, and in general, it's just a little bit harder to keep track of that stuff in VR, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like totally understandable to have some redeems paused, like during certain stream times.
Basically,
I do that all the time.
Yeah, right? Basically, mods, if you notice me just not reacting to a redeem, then just, like, refund it, you know? That said, I did see this... Did you see Did you see it?
I don't really do that.
Oh, but I
I don't do that thing.
Why not? Why don't you do it? You gotta do it.
I want to.
You really sound like you could be on Rugrats. You know?
Yeah, I'm just a little baby on Rugrats.
I do pretty good baby voice. It's speaking Dutch is happening.
Oh yeah?
Can you
Oh.
talk in Dutch in a baby voice?
Ja, dat kan ik wel. Ja? Ik doe het nieuws. Wat nu aan het doen ben. Hallo. Hoe is het met jou, joh? Hoe is het? Gaat hier goed met jou? Ja? Oh, wat?
Look at all these U-bots. People love just doing the Dutch redeem and the Uwe redeem at the same time.
I think that's awesome.
It's like, are they even?
It's great.
Why do I even have two separate redeems for them at this point? You know?
Just merge them together. It's night. It's almost nighttime. For a
It
moment,
is,
the
it
whole
is.
sky was poopy brown.
That's what happens in real life.
Pretty.
It is
The sky
pretty.
turns poopy brown. I don't know. I've never seen the sky turn poopy brown. At least during a sunset. But I love the sunset when it's all orange and pink.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some purple too. Like lesbian colors.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love also when it is pink and blue. Trans colors.
Yes! I
Yeah.
love that too, like the cotton candy skies. Oh my
Yeah,
god. I
dude.
just love clouds and skies. I don't know.
I love
I love
the
cloud
world.
watch.
I love nature.
Nature. Yeah, and you went
Nature.
on a hike.
I was on a hike yesterday. It was
You went on a
nice.
hike, right?
Yeah.
When I go on hikes, I get like panic attacks, so I can't really.
Oh
do
no! How come?
Well, the times I've gone on a hike, I had to go on like some mandatory hikes when I was in community college, because I went to
Right.
college in Hawaii. And there were like native, like ancient Hawaiian trails, like through the lava rock fields by like right next to our campus, and we had this one history teacher. Actually, I had to go on hikes in like 2 different classes, but my history teacher, he like barely taught me anything. He was so bad. He like loved trails. he like wrote a book about like ancient Hawaiian trails and trail making and like pathfinding and stuff. And so he made it mandatory that all of his students went on at least like 2 hikes down this fucking lava rock mountain, which was so scary because if you don't know, lava rock is really, really sharp. Like if you fall,
Oh yeah,
like,
no,
you
you're
can get really
you're
hurt.
fucked, dude.
yeah,
I
and
know
so,
it, yeah.
Like, the idea of that to me was already very like anxiety inducing. But yeah, so I had to go, and you're climbing like downhill, and so it's kind of scary, and it's not like a smooth, easy path either. So like both the well, no, I went on it one time, and I had a panic attack because I also am so cautious, and I got like left behind by the whole fucking.
No!
Because I'm overly cautious, and I'm scared of.
Aw, they left you behind. That sucks.
So, I had one person with me, but I just like got really nervous, and I got scared. And then the other one I had to go on was on a beach. If you've like walked on a beach before, like it's kind of hard to walk through sand.
A
It's
bit,
kinda
yes.
hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're wearing shoes, it's really like heavy and exhausting to like go on like a mile hike down a beach. Terrible.
True, true,
That
true, true,
happened
true, true,
again.
true.
And like through a forest first, also. Oh my god.
Well, I
Anyway,
love a
I'm, like,
forest.
trauma
No, it's. I mean, hey,
I
if
need to
that's.
go on, like a nice forest hike would be.
Come over.
delightful.
Come over.
Come over.
Come over,
I'm in
yeah.
the Pacific Northwest. We got some good woods here.
That's
So
nice.
I would love to come over.
Yeah.
We can go to Efteling too.
Yes, yeah.
Efteling.
I'd love to go to the Efteling.
Yeah. No spook slut for me though, but
No.
it would be great still.
No spook slut, sadly.
Oh,
It'll still be good. Hey,
shucks.
sometime next week they're opening the successor to the spook slut. So
Oh my gosh, next week? That's so
no,
exciting.
did I say next week? I meant next year. Sorry.
You might have said next year and I just heard it wrong. I don't know.
Who's to say? Both are equally
Well, that's
plausible.
really exciting. We're both so silly.
We're just so silly. But yeah.
We're both just so silly.
Yay!
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope that it's like as good or better than.
By the looks of it, it's gonna be better, yeah. Like, they're basically just making the same premise again, but now with modern technology and stuff, so... Which is super cool. They're even keeping, like, the... Na 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 na, you know, so... They're keeping the same music and stuff, so that's very, very good.
You're gonna make me. I have to go listen to that after.
You should! It's so good.
I will.
Good. Very good.
Awesome.
Yay!
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Look at my fucked up thumbs up. You seen this?
The way your thumb is curving is really funny. Mine has kind of a funny curve to it too. We can play some more.
Oh, cool. I feel like I'm at an advantage because my...
3, 4, I declare some more. I play dirty and some more, you don't know.
I played dirty because my hand's way bigger and stuff.
Oh man.
I
Oh, you
win.
got me.
I win, Chad. I did it. Fair and
Jeez.
scare. It's
You're so scary.
I'm so good at this.
I'm
Is the thing about
usually
it.
really good at thumb war. Whenever I play with people, I almost always win because my thumbs are very agile.
Nice. I'll have
But I
to...
also, I'm a hell of a pincher. I'll pinch your thumb down.
You've got a very
It's
aggressive
thumb
play
war.
style. Yeah, no, it's thumb war. That's true. It's no thumb game. It's
Yeah.
thumb fucking war.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah, right?
then again, you got big old gauntlets, so you just kind of squished mine.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
It was over.
Also, time to fry in chat. Ask what's the Spook Sixes are called. It is called... Oh, right, yeah, it's just called the song Danse Macabre.
Whoa.
Danse Macabre. They chose his name because it's more... Yeah, like macabre. It's just the name of the song that they used, and they chose his name because that's the name of the song they used, and it's a little bit more universal than Spookslot. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
Also, Lucino Stardust says, do the Ramona punchy thing. This one?
Punch. Oh. I did something.
Oh. That's different. You're like a mascot character now. You know, you're like a mascot suit.
What the hell happened to me?
You
Am
got
I
bigger.
Really big?
Yeah, you got bigger.
That's not what I meant. That's also not what I look like on my screen.
What do you mean? Wait, huh? What do you mean that's not what you look like?
For me, it's like an error. It's an avatar that says error on the chest, and it has floating hands. And
What?
It's gray.
Huh?
But I'm looking on your stream, and I see how big I am.
Yeah,
I'm
you're just
really
big.
scared. I'm like
Boop.
Totoro.
You are.
Oh,
Okay, let's see.
God,
If
what do I
you
do?
if you hold down, wait, that's my mute button. If you hold down one of your buttons, then like your menu pops up and you go to options and then somewhere expressions, quick actions, and then there it is. Yeah, after hide.
Am I still big?
Yes.
Okay, give me a minute.
Take your time.
I think I give up. Wait, give me a second.
At least we finally don't have to worry about putting the camera in a way where they can see you from like the chin up. At the very least.
I don't like to be big.
So, like, I don't know what controller you're using, but it's like What controller do you usually, or what button do you usually use to pop up the VRchat menu?
B.
Okay, so hold that one down.
Do I hold B?
Do you get like a radio menu?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go to expressions,
Okay. Oh.
and then quick actions, and then reset height.
Okay.
At least I'm assuming you switched your avatar height. Oh, there you go. Yay! They're normal, everyone. There they are again.
I don't feel normal.
What do you
I
mean?
feel fucked up.
You've come back
I
changed.
don't even know how that happened.
Yeah, that was weird, dude. Why did that happen?
All I did, I was trying to ball my fists so I could punch the cameras, but I didn't. And I think I pushed like every
Ow.
button on my controller, and when I pushed every button, it did something to me. And I became larger.
It's like the equivalent of just like slamming on all the controls to see what happens in like a ship.
And then something terrible happens. Yeah, so that's what happened. But I'm back. Thank you for helping me.
No problem.
I am a changed sheep.
That's true, that's true.
I don't know if I could boop you if I wanted to. My arms are too short. Can you connect your nose to my finger?
Boop? Am I doing it? Boop.
I think I accidentally put it up your nose. I'm sorry.
Gross. It's accidents happen. We're in VR, it's okay.
So, how are
So,
you feeling?
I'm chilling. But I'm a bit tired. Because I did
Are you
have...
tired?
I had a busy day of checking a bunch of post office points and not getting any results. So that's cool.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
it's okay. I just had to cycle through the cold a bunch. That's all. But I'm fine.
Yeah,
It's
you hate
okay.
Doing that.
I don't like cycling when it's cold.
It's hard. I love cycling when
Me
it's
too.
warm.
Yeah, me too. I love
having
cycling
a
when it's
bike.
warm. I love having a bike. I've
Yeah,
got 3
love
bikes. Do you want to
cycling
come
when it's
over
warm.
and borrow a bike?
Oh my gosh, I love riding bikes.
Come
I used
over.
to ride it every day when I was in high school. I had to cycle a mile to my bus stop for high school. I don't know why.
How much
They
is a
just,
mile?
Refused to pick up outside of my house. I don't
That's
know.
stupid. Chad, help us out. We need your help, Chad.
Admittedly, unfortunately, like I'm really bad with the metric system.
Yeah, that is
it
unfortunate
was
because it's
better.
better.
I know it's better. It's just not what I was taught.
No,
So
I totally get it. I mean,
even
I
with
don't-
normal stuff.
I don't know the mile stuff, so it's fine. I get it. A mile is 1.6 kilometers.
You shouldn't have to.
I cycled 11 kilometers to school in high school.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was fine.
Wild. How
No,
long
it's-
would that take?
I mean, we don't have like a dedicated bus, so for schools,
Oh.
and it would take me
Yeah,
about
okay, so
30
I-
minutes or so.
Yeah, that's
Plus,
a
I'm-
long, that's
I'm-
a long ride, but like it makes
Yeah, but I'm
sense if you don't
Dutch, you
have
know?
School buses.
Yeah, and I'm Dutch, so cycling is, national favorite pastime and stuff, you know? You kind of get,
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure that's
killed in public if you don't ride bikes, so
What do you mean by that?
you get killed in public if you don't ride bikes. If they find out, like, if okay, let's say that you are in the city, and there's some people outside, and you're with your friend, and you absentmindedly mention that you don't ride bikes. All of the people around you, like fucking like that movie, The Body Snatchers, all like turn towards you and start screaming and like walking towards you, and then they get you and they tear you apart. That's
Sounds terrible.
yeah, but we got public health care, so it's fine.
Yeah, but if you get killed,
You
then
win
it's
some, you
not-
lose some.
Shucks. I'm glad I know how to ride a bike.
Yeah, I lost some foreign friends to that.
I'm glad I know how to ride a bike. Oh my god. But yeah, so I had to ride like a mile or 2 miles.
I don't feel safe.
I don't know. To and from my bus stop. Well, in the morning I got to go downhill, but coming home I had to go uphill.
Ugh. Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes. And so then once I got to the bus stop, then my bus ride was 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
On the road. Yeah, because I lived in the middle of fucking nowhere. But, well, not in the middle of nowhere. Like, we had an elementary and a middle school, but we just didn't have a high school.
Right, okay.
Still probably don't. So the closest one was, like, in the next city, which was crazy.
That sucks.
But the population was only like a few thousand, so yeah.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I got really afraid of. I would have like nightmares all the time, where I missed the bus home.
Oh no, the bus home. No.
That never ever happened to me. I always caught the bus, but like I would always have nightmares of not catching the bus.
I totally get it.
Until like, yeah, even when I was in like college and didn't even take the bus anymore.
Yeah, that's like a frequent thing apparently. Is like to keep having like nightmares about being late for high school or something far past high school.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had anything like that though.
Oh. Yeah, and I still have not nightmares, but like dreams where like I'm in my high school or something like similar to my high school. And yeah, I still have dreams like that. Can you tell that I'm like picking my nose when I do that?
Oh, is that what you're doing? I thought you were just like adjusting the headset.
No, I'm just picking my nose.
Oh, well, alright then. As long as you're doing it in VRchat and not in real life where I can see it.
Yeah, I'm doing it in both, but you can only see
Well, yeah, but I can only see it in one,
my
so
digital
it's
nose.
whatever.
Virtual nose.
Let's
My
see.
cute little boopable nose. That's like the third time.
Yeah, so
After
it's
the
so
third time,
boopable.
It squishes like Bowser.
You hit him 3 times, yeah.
And deflates.
Oh, your
shit,
air start.
it's
That's.
here again.
Oh shit! I didn't even see it coming this time. And the frame rate on it is really low for this time for some reason.
Oh,
Was it already low last time?
Oh yeah, that's really bad.
I don't remember if it was low last time.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope not.
I don't know.
It's totally fine for me. I guess because you gotta have all those other programs open too.
Maybe that's it. Maybe.
I just get to hang out.
You just get to hang
I
out.
think if I tried to do a VRchat stream, my computer would like explode. I just have a feeling. Like OBS and VRchat, my computer would explode.
Well, yeah, probably. I'm sleepy.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask, is it time? You
I
deserve
think-
to have a good rest.
I think it might be time.
I'm so small. I'm really, really small.
You're so little!
I'm really, really small. I'm standing in the grass. The grass is up to my butt. Can I stand up? No, I can't. Alright.
Zoe is tired, yeah.
Ooh, my back just cracked a lot.
Oh, nice, nice, I love that. Okay, I think we might be calling it quits for today. It's a little early.
Yes.
Well, is it actually? Well, it's early.
2.5 hours.
It's early in terms of stream length, but not in terms of what point in time we're at. Because we also started an hour and a half later than usual. So it's fine, I think. I'm so sleepy,
It's totally
Jill.
fine. I'm tired too, so.
Okay, let's
This
go
is
to
great.
bed.
Yeah, let's all go to bed.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, it's been super fun. That just means we have to do the third one where we go to the
We
other
do. We do. We do have to go.
rounds. You're like leaning forward.
Am I not? What? Oh, right, because I have to sit down. There we go. I'm on the ground.
You're laying on the ground.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I can barely see you.
I got stuck on the cable. I got stuck on the cable. I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay.
Where were you? Were you like sitting on the ground?
No, I was just lying down. I was lying down on the floor.
Well, that's awesome.
It was floor time.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so comfy. No wonder you're so sleepy.
I'm so sleepy.
So sleepy.
So EP.
Give me a hug.
Yeah. Yay! Yay! Ruggin!
Yay!
I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
This will be in.
Anyway, okay. Give me a moment.
You're so sleepy.
There we go. In 1 hour, my computer shuts down. And this time, we're gonna end the stream before that moment.
Yeah. We ran out of steam.
Alright. So,
we got too comfy in the Ghibli world. I guess that's just like what it does.
that's what it is.
We beautiful place.
We just spent the entire time in one world. It is a really,
That was
really nice
awesome.
world, though. It's so nice.
Yep, it was fun.
Yeah. Thank you,
Alright,
Jules.
everybody.
Thank you,
Let's do it again.
Jules.
Yay! Absolutely.
Thank you, Jules.
Thank you so much, to Jules.
Should I go?
No!
Oh,
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Jules, my wonderful friend, for hanging out with me and co-hosting with me. Would you like to plug anything?
oh, good question.
Thank you.
I'm doing a walk around stream on Saturday. Those are always my favorite. We're going to a place called the City Museum in St. Louis, Missouri. And it sounds boring because you hear the word museum and you're like, ah, snoozer. But it's basically like a weird, giant playground.
I love
It's very
those.
strange and cool.
I gotta see if I can catch that one, or at least watch the VOD. Nice, 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 nice. Yay!
Yeah, so if you're new to my content, new to my channel, go check it out on Saturday.
Do it!
Because that's what I'm all about. I like to have fun.
You definitely should. Yeah, you all should go check out Jules, because Jules is very, very good. As for me, I will be back tomorrow with Lethal Company with some friends. Yay! I like this game so much.
It's
Exclamation
the game
point.
that's sweeping the nation.
That's right. For good reason, because it's like, if Phasmophobia was good.
You're so right.
I am so right. It's the thing about it. Exclamation point links in chat, and you get a little link that's to my little website. It has all my links on there, and you can go follow me and whatever, you can figure it out from there. Discord is the best place to stay up to date what I'm going to do, because you get a little ad here, but you don't have to worry about joining the whole community if you don't want to, because I know that can be a lot for some people. So all you get if you join is a stream announcements channel and a channel explaining how to get into the full server if you want to, but no pressure whatsoever. That's it. I am going to go to my computer.
That's the stream.
That's the stream. I'm gonna go to my desktop now, my computer, and get the raid started here. So I'm gonna say goodbye to you, Jules.
Catch you on the flip side. Bye,
I'll see you. Oh, bye. Yeah, you're so fun and cool. Yay, and my friend too.
Oh, so
Okay,
are
bye.
you.
Say bye to Chad.
Sleep.
Say bye to Chad.
Bye, chat. It's been so fun and awesome, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Oh, right. I forgot you can blush like that. Anyway, okay. I'll be on my computer, so I'll see you guys in just a moment. I mean, you can. Whoops. You can. Well. You can still hear me, but you won't be able to see me anymore. So visually speaking, I'm saying goodbye, and now we're gonna go start the raid. Da da da. Taking the microphone with me. Ba-ba-bum. Where is my computer? Where is everything? There it is. So let's see. We are going to go raid. Let's see. Bum bum bum. Bum. How about we raid Sam? Sam is playing Skies of Arcadia Legends. Sam the Silky is also a member of VRXT and also a low poly VTuber. So that's fucking awesome. And Skies of Arcadia, from what I've seen, is also fucking awesome. So let's go over there. The raid message. I don't know. It's this. This is the raid message. Just hi. Yeah, Sam really likes Sega games as well. So his theming is really fucking good. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. I really hope you had a great time and have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you all next time. Bye. Bye.